this is all they had. This is all they had. You hear me? This was all they had in 3 stores. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm so glad that you joined me today. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my pantry goals for 2022, and I'm really excited about this upcoming year because, as you know, who have been following our channel for any length of time, it's been my goal to build and build every year onto my pantry, and this year I feel like it is a definite building year. So if you're interested in what my goals are for my pantry, stick around, grab some coffee, grab some tea, water, hang out with me for a few minutes, get a notebook, get a pen, get ready to jot down some notes, and we're going to be sharing back and forth. If you have pantry goals for this year, please leave them in the comments below because I'll be so excited to hear what some of your goals are as well for this coming new year. So without further ado, happy new year 2022. Let's just jump right back into it here. So this winter, you know, my goal is to keep plugging away at putting this shelf, making this shelf full of my beef bone broth. As you can see, my goal kind of came to a little bit of a halt over the holidays and family and visits and sickness. We'll get into that into another video, so be looking for our sick video coming ahead. So yes, some of my goals got pushed aside, but I'm gonna be looking forward to just plugging away, getting more bone broth made up, and getting that shelf filled up for this coming year, as well as this shelf over here, which you know is my chicken broth or poultry bone stock or chicken, just plain chicken broth over here. And again, my goal here is to get this shelf filled up. What I did differently, I've been in here organizing and revamping things a little bit. So one thing that I modified my goal was that I needed to designate a shelf for the bottom for my 2 Instapots that I use predominantly for canning and cooking dinners and that kind of thing. They needed their own little home, and that's where they're living right now. And then over here are my 2 pressure canners that I use, and I love my Nesco pressure canners. If you haven't heard about them or whatever, please go look around, check out some different YouTube websites, and you can learn about the Nesco pressure canner. I love them. They needed a home, so I gave up my bottom shelf for that. So that's the 2 changes that are made. The other change that I made, if you can see at the top, I decided that I needed a place to store my extra canning jars until they were being filled up. So my extra canning jars are up here on my top shelf, and yes, I did sacrifice a shelf for that, but you can see we have them stored 3 deep up there, which is really like a lovely thing to have them in their own place and put away. So I'm excited about that. Over here on this shelf, I do have some new goals for this shelf moving forward into the new year. I definitely want to get some more of these little tomato pastes. I love getting these at either Dollar General, or you can get these for a good price at Aldi's. So I want to have more of these on the shelf in stock. I use those for so many things and so many different meals throughout the week. They're just really handy to have those little concentrated pastes. I have some ketchup cans up here, and I only have 1 jar of salsa left, guys, because we've been eating up our salsa. We love our salsa, but I'm going to share something with you that a good friend of mine from a big family, she has a large family, she has 10 children, and she told me that when she priced it all out, unless if you're growing your tomatoes at home, which we did not have abundance of tomatoes this year in our garden, I don't know why, but if you're not growing your tomatoes, or you don't have them frozen in your freezer ready to can, if you're having to buy your tomatoes, one tip is, if you're having to buy your tomatoes fresh at the store, you might want to price out getting them fresh versus just getting them already diced up and canned. These come in at a really great price at Aldi's, already diced up and canned, and it's way cheaper to buy them like this, and they are organic, than it is to buy them fresh off the shelf at Aldi's. So if you're making salsa, you might want to check out that little tip. It's going to save you some time, energy, and money to do that. But she shared with me her bigger find is that it's actually cheaper to buy the salsa if you can find it in a bulk food store or for a bulk deal. It's actually cheaper to just buy it if you're feeding a big family. And she has 10 children, so plus her and her husband, so it's a big family. And when she told me that, I heeded her advice. So I think moving forward, what I'm going to do is to get my salsa supplies stocked up, because we do use salsa at least a couple times a week here. We're in Texas. So I'm just going to go ahead and buy my salsa, and I think I'm going to be buying it from Sam's because I have a membership at Sam's online, and it's just really easy. You can order things and just have it shipped for free, so it's really nice. So I think that's going to be my goal with my salsa this year, is as much as I love our homemade salsa and getting creative with it, I think just to get my salsa section filled up, I'm going to be buying at Sam's. That meets my budget goals, and it'll help me meet my goals a lot faster over here. Ketchup goals, I did can some ketchup, but I don't know that this is your best bang for your buck in time or money or anything else to can your own ketchup. Like I said, unless if you're growing an abundance of tomatoes and you have that abundance there to do it, then absolutely it makes sense. But for me, this year, I do have some tomatoes in my freezer still to pull out, but it's not an abundance. So for me, I'm just going to be going ahead and buying my ketchup and putting that away with our condiment section that I'm going to show you in a little bit over here. Now, with the exception of barbecue sauce. Barbecue sauce is expensive, especially if you're buying a healthier type barbecue sauce with less sugar. So barbecue sauce, we are absolutely going to make our own barbecue sauce, and we'll be jarring that up. So maybe we'll bring you along and show you some of that in a future video. But I still have some elderberry syrup here. I still have some pear butter and some pear compote in the back, which we absolutely love, and we used it to make some pear pies, which was really, really good. Have some more pear butter here, and this was just leftovers. I love canning leftovers in my Nesco pressure canner. So when I make food, usually I make it in like double or triple batches at least when I cook, and then it gives me that next night or two off, and my family does not mind at all leftovers, so that has worked out totally fine. But what you can also do is, instead of having leftovers out the wazoo, you can just go ahead and can some up and put it on your shelf. So it's really, really awesome to do that. So that's my chili over here, and then this over here is my sweet onion relish that I made up. So this is really good too. But let me talk to you about some of my goals. So one of my goals for this shelf is to have a whole shelf full of corn. I will not be canning my own corn. I'm just going to be going ahead and buying that. We love to buy organic corn, and we are not in corn country here, so maybe you are where you live, but corn for us comes from the store, either frozen or in cans like this. So my goal is to, every time we do a grocery order, get a case of corn and go ahead and get this shelf filled up with corn. I just love the idea of having this and just having it on the shelf extra for taco nights or soups or different things like that. Chilies, it's just really wonderful to have that. So that is a goal of mine. And then here you can see on my bottom shelf what my goal is there is to continue to fill that up. There's not a whole lot of room left, but I could probably get another layer and a half-ish out of that. But to go ahead and fill this up with tomato sauce or diced tomatoes, crushed tomatoes, whatever we could find at the store. I like these big jars because they work well for our big family. So we got these at a local grocery store, and we love supporting local businesses when at all possible and when it makes the most sense to do. So we just want to fill this whole bottom up with our tomato sauce and crushed tomatoes and diced tomatoes and all that kind of stuff. And like I said, I wish that this was all our own goods from our own garden. And had it been the year before that I was a canning mama, we would have had tomatoes coming out of our ears, because we literally had 5-gallon buckets of tomatoes that we couldn't find the jars. Actually, I was a canning mama and we couldn't, my brain's working. So we just didn't have the jars that year, but we had tomatoes coming out of our ears 2 years ago. But at that point you could not buy jars. So alas. And there was not enough freezer room in our freezer. We had one freezer at that time, which was full of our meats, and I didn't have enough freezer room to freeze them all. So now we're set up. We have 4 small freezers. I love that. Maybe if any of you want a freezer tour sometime, I could kind of do that with you and tell you why I prefer the 4 small freezers over big freezers and how I organize them. If anybody's interested in that, let me know. Down here we have all of our greens that we canned this year from our garden, and that's our green beans and our kale and our collard greens are all down here. So I'm really happy with that goal that we did. And then up here, guys, okay, big, like, I shouldn't be ashamed. No shame in the game. There's no shame, right? We're filling up our shelves, right, girls? So there's no shame here. I was learning how to can potatoes. Canned up a whole shelf here, and like 6 extras, it looks like up here, quarts of potatoes. And canning potatoes is a little more tedious than canning some other things. It does require like a few different steps and rinsing and that kind of thing. So after 2 big canning sessions of potatoes, I made an executive decision the other day that, you know what, when I did all the math on the potatoes, I was like, wait a minute. I'm not canning any kind of special potatoes here. They're just white potatoes. When you break it all down math-wise, you're not saving that much money by canning your own potatoes. Let me know if you disagree with me, but for us here local, for our stores, I'm really not saving that much money. So I decided to go out, and the boys actually helped me out with this big chore the other day, because I was not feeling well at all. But they went out and they hit a home run. They came home with lots and lots and lots of canned potatoes, and we had to go, not me, but they had to go to 3 different stores to find just this amount of potatoes, which is basically 1 shelf. It's 2 deep, but it's 1 shelf of these little jars. And my priority was not these little jars of potatoes, because guys, these are 15 ounces jars. Do you know how many? I have to open like 3 or 4 of these, easily 4 of these, to make a meal for my family. So this is all they had. This is all they had. You hear me? This was all they had in 3 stores. So, we went to, actually it was 4 stores, because 1 store had none. Our local Walmart had none, 0, not a 1 canned potato, none on the shelf. And then we went to, not we, but my children went to 2 other local stores, our little local family Brookshire stores, and then they went to another, they went to an Aldi store a little ways away, and they ended up with this. This is as many potatoes as all 3 stores had. So potatoes are one of those staple products for our home. Everybody's got their own staple products that you just like, you make a lot of meals with and you stretch your meals with. Potatoes are definitely one. Rice is definitely one for us. And I'm going to be doing in an upcoming video some really great shelf stable foods, dry goods, and foods that you should have on hand in the event that we have supply chain issues again, and especially nutrient dense super healthy packed foods that are going to keep you healthy if we ever go into a lockdown scenario again, or if we end up having supply chain issues again here in the future. So potatoes were a thing that were a major supply chain issue a couple of years ago for us, and so that has always been in the back of my mind. We grow our own potatoes here, white and sweet. The orange sweet potatoes as well as the purple sweet potatoes. So potatoes are definitely on my mind always, but I just wanted to get this shelf filled up. So we pretty much did that. I'm going to continue to work to get another layer or so in here on this shelf, and maybe I'll even pack this out a little bit more, just because those little cans, it looks like a lot, guys, but it really doesn't go that far at all with my size family that we have here. So in my back is all of my prepper, emergency type supplies, all that kind of things, as well as I have a section for bathroom supplies that I like to keep full and on hand, and just my trash bags and things like that as well. So that's what's on my back shelf here. And I can go through that with you maybe some other time if you want to know what our preps look like for when the power goes out. And stay tuned, because our next video coming up that me and my husband do on a sit down talk video, we're going to be talking about your next step in homesteading, and we're going to be talking to you guys about power, self-sufficiency, moving towards a more self-sufficient life when it comes to your power supplies. So be looking for that video coming up. Okay guys, so I hope you enjoyed this video. I tried to make it pretty short and succinct. You can see kind of what some of my canning goals that I have met, some that I have changed quite a bit, and some that I'm still moving towards, working towards in this coming new year. Be looking forward to another video coming up. We're going to be going on to the other side of my pantry where I have all of my dry goods stored, and I'm going to be sharing with you all of my dry good goals for the new year, what goals I met, what things I still need to buy, what things I'm going to be adding, all of that kind of stuff going into the new year. It's going to look a little different than it did last year, so I'm excited to share that with you. So that will be coming up as well. Thank you all of you for watching our videos, for subscribing to our channel, for supporting our family, for going over to the boys website. If you haven't so far, go check out TheTexasBoys.com. We have all kinds of really awesome stuff over there, just as a way to give back to all of you. Take care of yourselves, guys, and have a super blessed day. See you guys. Bye bye.